And now we want to get back to breaking news we're following in Virginia Beach. Chris Horne is live now in Suffolk, where at least one child fell through a retention pond. Chris?
Yeah, what happened this morning a little bit after 11 o'clock, and it was a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old, we're told by authorities. Quick action by neighbors made the difference here. We're going to talk with Joe Maggiore. It was right in his backyard. Joe, what happened here this morning?
Well, my wife called to me. I was upstairs and I glanced out the window and I saw that there was a boy right out there where those cracks in the ice are. He was about 25 feet out, and I knew the lake is right there is about 6 feet deep. And so there's a chance that I'm going to have to go in this water if somebody's going to get him. So I ran downstairs, put on my wetsuit, my surfing wetsuit, as quick as I could, and ran out the door, and we figured out a plan. My neighbor brought a rope out, and I took the rope out to him, handed him the rope. At first, he wasn't going to take it. He wasn't strong enough. I said, "You got to do this. You got to get this done." And he grabbed onto it, and we pulled him as far as we could, and then slid him across the ice and got him out of the water. And we carried him up into our neighbor Jerry's house and got him warm. The paramedics were able to get him warmed up, so everything worked out well.
What kind of condition was he in? Was he responsive?
When I picked him up, I was running around the lake with him. He was shivering. He was conscious, but he was really shaken up, and I guess he had probably started beginnings of hypothermia. And but I think he's going to be fine.
He was transported by EMS, is that correct?
I'm not sure exactly where he ended up, but the paramedics were all on scene, and they were attending to him.
How long do you think he was in the water?
Probably, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes. As long as it took for me to put on a wetsuit, and I used to put it on a lot quicker when the waves were good, but I didn't put it on as quick today, so I was trying.
And he was with an older boy, is that right?
Yeah, I believe it was his brother, 13-year-old boy. They tried to get out to him, and obviously they didn't make it because the ice is just too thin, and so he was in a bad spot. He was a really bad spot.
And roughly how deep is the water there?
Right there, I guess it's about 6 feet deep. From what I've seen and going out there with seeing some kids out there and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely deep where he wouldn't be able to touch bottom.
He could have drowned. He could have frozen.
Well,
the hypothermia could have set in.
A lot of bad things happen. Nothing happens on a day like this. Only bad things. So.
Yeah. So were any of his family around here at all today, or did anybody
I believe they live a couple blocks over on the other side of the neighborhood.
So they're not from this particular neighborhood?
Not right around here. And they have a lake. I was just told by them they have a lake near their house, and they thought that's where his brother was calling from. So they started looking around. There was nobody in that lake, and then they figured out it was over here.
And Joe, you told me you have daughters of your own. You tell them to stay off that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have 3 young daughters, 10, 7, and 5. When we tell them don't even think about going over the ice. And anytime we see kids that are back here when it is frozen over like this, we tell them no, get out of there. There's no way for it.
And was there any screaming, yelling, or how were you alerted to this?
Well, my wife was screaming and yelling. For me, I heard, she opened the door and I heard the alarm starting to go off in the house. And so I didn't know what was going on. She said, "There's somebody in the ice. There's a kid in the ice." And that's when all the alarms started going off in my head. So.
Okay. So Joe and Jerry, and who was the neighbor with the rope?
Sean.
Sean.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some great work by neighbors here in Larissa Court in Virginia Beach. Might have saved the life of a 9-year-old. Yeah, praise the Lord is what Joe just said. That's for sure. So we'll have more on this as we find out more why they were out on that icy pond and the condition of the 9-year-old as we get it from Virginia Beach EMS. Live in Virginia Beach, Chris Horne, 10 on your side.
Wow.